As a goal for this year, aim for this: to be in command of oneself. Epictetus once asked, "How do you know you're making progress? How can I judge that one of my students is improving?" His answer was simple: they get into fewer arguments. That is the mark of progress, and it's the mark of a great year. Fewer arguments, fewer outbursts, fewer unnecessary opinions. The modern curse is the opposite: a compulsion to have an opinion about everything, especially about things outside of one's control, and an urge to broadcast those opinions to anyone who will listen. The Stoic sees this as poison to the mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that we have the power to have no opinion, that events do not demand judgment, that life does not beg for commentary. The Stoic looks at the world and says calmly, "That is not my concern. That is not something I will allow to disturb my inner order." Most of what agitates us has no real weight. Trivial debates, fleeting controversies, the endless theater of opinions, these drain the spirit. The wise learn restraint. They learn to let others enjoy what they enjoy, to let the world move without constant interference. To quote the modern phrase, "Don't yuck someone else's yum." It is an underrated Stoic principle. Allow people their peace, and you will preserve your own. If someone finds joy in something harmless, that is enough. The Stoic doesn't waste energy trying to reshape what doesn't need to be reshaped. They say, quietly and sincerely, "That's fine." This alone will make this year a calmer, more deliberate year. And yet there is a deeper discipline that reinforces this restraint. A simple, physical act that restores composure when opinions start to rise and emotions begin to pull the mind apart. It is the act of walking. The idea of progress has become noise. Everyone talks about goals, systems, plans, and morning routines. But the Stoic doesn't look for a system to perform. The Stoic looks for a practice to become. The habit of walking is so simple that it is almost dismissed as trivial, yet it can quietly reconstruct the entire rhythm of a life, not as exercise, not as escape, but as alignment, a daily recalibration between the mind, the body, and the world. Epictetus once said that philosophy should make us more tranquil, not more talkative. A walk does exactly that. It pulls the mind out of the noise, out of the compulsion to react, to check, to compare. The Stoic learns to walk not away from life, but through it with calm precision. Each step is a return to command. The feet move, the breath steadies, and the mind begins to clear the fog of impulse. It is not dramatic, it is not glamorous, yet it is the most direct path to clarity that exists. The modern world runs on tension, screens, schedules, constant input. The mind never empties, it only accumulates. Walking breaks that cycle. It reintroduces silence into motion. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A walk re-dyes the mind in simplicity. The Stoic doesn't need music, doesn't need company, doesn't even need a destination. The discipline is in the movement itself, a reminder that order starts with motion and calm is maintained through rhythm. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." The same is true of the mind. When attention is scattered, peace is impossible. The habit of walking trains attention to stay contained, to observe the world without drowning in it. Every tree, every sound, every breath becomes a lesson in awareness. The Stoic learns that philosophy isn't studied in silence alone, it is practiced in motion. 1,000 steps can teach what 100 pages cannot. The simplicity of the act conceals its power. A walk dissolves anger faster than any argument. It cools frustration faster than any distraction. The distance between the trigger and the reaction lengthens with each step. Epictetus taught that between stimulus and response lies choice. The walk extends that space until clarity returns. This is not retreat. It is mastery. To walk is to reclaim the inner space that modern life constantly invades. Many search for complex methods to regain control. They want systems, courses, transformations. The Stoic understands that transformation begins in motion. Every step forward is a small act of defiance against stagnation. Walking teaches pace, not speed, not delay, but balance. The body moves in rhythm with thought, and the mind learns that patience is a form of power. The Stoic who walks daily builds endurance not only in muscle, but in perception. Even discomfort becomes a teacher. Cold air, heat, fatigue. Each sensation reminds the Stoic that control lies not in avoidance, but in composure. Seneca wrote that the wise person welcomes adversity because it reveals strength. The walk is a voluntary exposure to the elements, a training in poise. The conditions change, but the posture remains. The walk becomes a living metaphor for life itself. Unpredictable terrain, constant motion, unwavering direction. In a world that prizes speed, walking becomes rebellion. It slows the pace of thought to something human. It restores the lost art of observation. When the Stoic walks, they are not escaping from life's weight. They are redistributing it across each step. It is the simplest act of control, the quietest assertion of freedom. The one who walks rules the inner state while the world hurries past in confusion. The truth is this: very few problems survive a walk. Anxiety thins out, anger burns itself away. Perspective expands until the immediate loses its grip. Walking is not therapy, it is philosophy in motion. It is the Stoic practice of detachment, clarity, and discipline embodied. One step, then another. The body obeys, the mind follows, and peace begins to reappear, not as a reward, but as a default state restored. If there is one habit to bring into this year, it is this: walk. Walk when the mind is restless, when the body is tense, when the day feels chaotic. Walk without agenda, without noise, without the need to reach a conclusion. The Stoic who walks each day becomes harder to shake, slower to react, calmer in judgment. Walking is self-mastery disguised as simplicity, the act through which the mind reclaims dominion over itself.